Welcome, warriors.
Yeah.
We have just the most wonderful interview to share with you all today.
Very excited about this.
So freaking excited. I can't believe it. I can't believe we spoke to the amazing Jackie Debatin, actor extraordinaire, been on some of your favorite stuff, warriors. We promise you that for sure. At least most of you out there. And she's a CPA. She's just an amazing person. And I can't wait for you all to hear this conversation, obviously. But before Abby hops into her recap, let me let you all know a little bit about who Jackie is. Jackie Debatin was born and raised on a dairy farm in Southern Illinois. She attended Southern Illinois University at Carbondale, where she studied theater and business. She moved to Los Angeles in 1992, where she did more than 100 guest and recurring TV jobs for 2 decades. She did some of the most popular and iconic shows ever, some of the many listed here, such as The Office, Friends, 2.5 Men, 24, ER, That 70s Show, According to Jim, Pretty Little Liars, Supernatural, Party Down, CSI Miami, Girlfriends, Kroll Show. She later moved to New York City to do an off-Broadway show in 2013. She continued to book TV and film work in New York City for 10 years. Shows like Law & Order SVU and Blue Bloods, City on the Hill, just to name a few. She met her husband in the city and they married in 2021 in Montauk in the Hamptons. Then they moved back to California in 2022 and bought a house in Redondo Beach. She lives there with her husband and 2 beagles. In addition to her acting, she owns and runs her own accounting firm with offices in Los Angeles and New York City. Her accounting firm opened in 1999 and she handles entertainment and corporate financing and tax consulting. This woman is just like literally the Jackie of all trades. We're going to coin that. Jackie of all trades. She does all the things. I mean, Did you hear the names of some of those shows, people?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Yeah. She's always Elizabeth the stripper to me.
Always. Secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone. I was hoping you were going to jump in.
Oh, no. I
paused.
Do it or not. But that's like one of my favorite episodes. Like, I'm not just saying it because we just spoke to Jackie. Like,
totally.
Her and Ben Franklin, like the two of them was just amazing. So
random.
Yeah. So random. So good.
Those are some of the best episodes of that show that were just like all over the place and just showcased obviously all the main cast so brilliantly, but then when they could have guest appearances like Jackie's and they just elevate, right? They really both of them, just both those characters super elevated that show, that particular episode.
Yeah.
Oh, we love you, Jackie. All right. So Abby, tell us a little bit about this chat.
Yeah. So I say it all the time. This chat was so super fun. And, this is my first time meeting Jackie and it's like I'm chatting with an old friend, right? Like she is just so fun and grounded and just lighthearted. And it was just such a enjoyable conversation. Jackie starts off by sharing, a lot about how anxiety would show up in her profession of acting and how it could show up in ways like, being judged based on your looks or going to set where people already know each other and being the new person on set. And then also the instability of acting. And she shares about how she knew that acting is a passion for her and she wanted to keep it a passion. So she pursued starting her own business as a CPA. So she had that stability so she could continue to enjoy acting. We touch a lot on beauty standards and the messages that are primarily given to women, but also people in general. And really just how, what we see on TV can really impact how we feel about ourselves. Jackie offers just so many inspiring anecdotes and supportive stories for coping with anxiety. And it just ended on such a beautiful note of like, no regrets, right? Like we all go on this journey and probably like one of the best things we can do is being accepting of our journey and not having regrets. Because we know what we know when we know it.
Yes.
So warriors, this is just such an amazing conversation. Jackie just drops a ton of like little like wisdom bombs throughout. And it was really fun too.
So fun. So good. We can't wait, warriors. Here's the show. Welcome back, warriors.
Yay!
We are just over the flippin' moon that Jackie Debatin has joined the Anxiety Warrior podcast today. We are so excited. Jackie, welcome to the show. Yay.
Hi, guys.
We are
So
so
happy to be here.
excited. We are so excited that you're here with us. I can't even believe it.
I know.
When I met randomly at the office reunion in Chicago last month, and you are just the kindest, most warm and funny and down to earth human. I think, I don't know, among all the humans I've met in my life, you are just truly magnetic and special. And the fact that you're joining us on the podcast is just, I think, beyond words, right, Ab?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing.
I feel
We're
like I
big
never
fans.
like say I'm cheesing. I don't feel like I say that, but I feel that way, right? Like I'm like,
Truly giddy.
Yeah, totally. So
Aw.
excited.
Oh, thank you, ladies. That's so sweet. I'm super excited to talk about my experiences and hopefully they help other people.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to just dive right in as we do here. So Jackie, tell us a little bit about how anxiety has shown up in your life.
I mean, I guess I would start with, being a professional actress. There's just a lot of anxiety in that profession. It's something that you have to deal with sort of on a daily basis, whether you're auditioning, whether you're on a set, a lot of times, especially in my experience, I've come in to a lot of, very well-known TV shows where I was coming in maybe for a week or 2 weeks. And so, that first day, it's almost like having the first day of school when you're in 6th grade.
Yeah.
Every week, you're going to, and so, you want to like meet these people. Some of them are super famous already. And so there's always, I've had to learn how to deal with my own anxiety about that and how to approach people. But I think it comes with just being a professional actress in general. And I was going to mention this, so I'll say this kind of might be a good thing to start off from the very top. I had an acting teacher once say to me, you're not nervous and maybe you're not really invested. And I thought that was really good because it was, you kind of then learn how to make your nerves and your anxiety work for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Wait, will you
if you're
say
not
that?
nervous?
Yeah.
Was it if you're not nervous, you're not invested?
Maybe you're very invested in it, right? Maybe you're not as invested in acting, like, especially if you're going into a scene, you'll have like a lot of nerves about it, but it's like the nerves are sometimes just tell you how invested you are.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that reframe.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So
it's like
true.
telling you like I care about this. Like I'm invested in this.
Yes.
Right. Oh, I love that. So, okay, so I know a little bit about the acting world, not a lot. I had an ex who would go on auditions a lot and he was in a couple things here and there. But my first question is do you feel like you noticed anxiety before this profession? Is this something you've had most of your life, or did you notice it mostly once you got into this profession?
No, I definitely had it before. And I think it's ironic, they a lot of times they say, comedians especially are highly either depressed or anxiety ridden people.
Yeah.
And then they sort of learn to use their anxiety or get out of their depression by making people laugh or, making jokes and sort of also helping other people feel comfortable, almost leads you to that.
Yeah.
In my childhood, I grew up on a farm. So no, I'm not from New York City. So I grew up on a dairy farm in a very small town. So I don't know how much you gals know about farm life or how a lot of people don't know a lot about, family farm life. But you're up every morning, you work before school, you work after school, you're working with the animals. You're also trying to do your homework. You've got crop season. You have a sick cow or a sick calf or, the weather's not cooperating. So there's a lot. And then as a child of that, we usually say, well, if you're old enough to pick up a bucket, then you're old enough to work, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think that as a childhood thing, work became sort of like how do I explain it now that after that, nothing seems that hard with work, because when you're a child and you're working, I mean, nowadays my parents would be in trouble for labor laws, I'm sure, sue them. Back then, and even now on farms, children are expected to work. It's part of the way the system of making a family farm profitable is children work on the farm.
Yeah.
So I think my mother would even tell you that the one thing she wishes she would taught all of her children was to learn how to relax. But
Yeah.
so I
My
think it
mom always
really
said
came
that.
early. Yeah.
Yeah, she really did. I mean, she's in her late 70s now. And that's the one thing she said, don't do it like me. Don't do it like me. She was a
Mm.
total workaholic. My dad too, both my parents. Um, but at the same time, they were like, they didn't take space for mental health. They didn't talk about, depression, anxiety, those things. They didn't feel like there was time for those things, right?
Yeah.
Very different lifestyle than farm life. They were city life. They were city mice, not country mice. But, I mean, I think that the same thing rings true, right? It's like we all kind of wish, no matter how old we are now, that as children, we learned the tools to how to relax, right? How to find yourself in the storm, right? How to find calm for yourself, whatever it is. And I think I'm wondering if maybe the kids that are being raised now, right? Maybe they're going to have a different perspective than like some of us that, are millennials and up, our experience in childhood, but
Yeah,
that's so interesting.
generational thing, Margot. Yeah, generational thing for sure.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do worry that the generation today, and I don't have children, so not my
Neither do
responsibility.
we.
But I'm just the fun aunt now,
Yes.
all my friends' kids. So I get to do all the fun stuff. They can do the hard stuff. But I do wonder if what you're talking about, because there is a work ethic thing that comes from it, and if you do want to achieve goals, you do have to have some sort of work ethic. So I
Yeah.
wonder how the balance will
Yeah.
out of that.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's like I'm hopeful, right? And Abby and I are both teachers, and we teach yoga and mindfulness to kids, right? So many of the anxiety warrior tools that we wanted as children that we didn't get, we're trying to offer to the next generation of future change makers and leaders. And I hope for them that there is, right, a good amount of balance and a little bit of a backtrack on some of the more rigid ways of like looking at the workplace. And I don't know, looking for more work-life balance would be wonderful for, I think, every generation. So
Yeah.
I guess time will tell. So how does anxiety kind of, or how does it manifest itself in you physically? Like, how do you notice it showing up inside of your body? What are some of like the thoughts that might go through your mind when you're feeling anxious? What about like your behaviors, things like that?
Well, I am prone to panic attacks. I've had, you know, emergency room trips. Yeah, so it's been a learning experience for me to. I don't have them now anymore, thank God. But it took quite a bit of. Um, I mean, they do feel like for people that have had them, it does feel like you're having a heart attack.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you don't want to Google it because then you're like, I'm definitely having a heart attack,
Yeah.
right? But uh, so um, So I've had extreme cases of it. So I can kind of feel it sometimes coming on. I've also learned I don't drink coffee. I had to quit. I had to quit caffeine other than green tea altogether because those certain things can cause more anxiety. Drinking too much, the next day you can feel that anxiety. So alcohol is also can be a pretty big trigger.
Yeah.
Too much alcohol. Now listen, I love my wine.
Sure.
But yeah, it's definitely it's a racing of the mind. For me, I can actually see it manifest in like the shaking of my
Mhm.
hands.
Yeah.
So I think I have had extreme cases. There's certain medication I can't take, like Excedrin. Certain medications have a lot of caffeine and or like even like what's that one that's supposed to help with mucus? What's that called?
Oh, like Mucinex and like
Mucinex.
yeah.
That gives me like the jitters. Like so, it's like I just know now that there's certain things I can't do. I also need to sleep. I love sleeping. It's like a hobby.
Yes.
You're in good company here.
I used to talk to my doctor. Okay. I used to say to my doctors, like, do you think I'm sleeping too much? Like sometimes I can sleep 12 hours a day easily.
Dream.
And she's like,
right there.
right. But so did you ever think though, Abigail, that maybe something was wrong with you?
Oh,
like,
I went to a sleep study. I did. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, why am I sleeping so much? Yeah.
She learned nothing, by the way.
Yeah. They gave me no information at all.
Oh, good. I've never done one.
We're not saying do it or don't, but
But you didn't learn anything. They didn't tell you anything.
They diagnosed me with idiopathic hypersomnia, which is like, yes, you're excessively sleepy, but we don't know why.
They basically said, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Real helpful.
Yeah. That's what my doctor said. And she actually did say too, like there are people that just require more than 8 hours of sleep. It's just how we came out. And so,
yep.
I mean, I always make a joke that because I grew up on a farm and I was up early, 5 a.m. when I was 6 and 7 and working, I always say I'm just making up for all those hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the debt, the sleep debt.
Right. I have a random question, Jackie. Like, so it sounds like you have a really strong work ethic, right? And that obviously lends itself to your career now, both as in the acting world and as a CPA. And so like, I'm wondering, do you think your upbringing is there a direct connection between all the hard work that you were subject to in your childhood to the kind of hardworking person that you are now? And has both contributed to your anxiety in similar ways or different ways?
I was thinking about this today when I was watching one of your episodes, and I think the interesting thing for me is the answer is yes, absolutely. My childhood has contributed to me working so much. However, I would also say it's also kind of like a part of me, right? Because of that childhood, But I think there's good anxiety and there's bad anxiety. And as I've gotten older, I've tried to sort of identify, like, is this like anxiety that's good? Like it's trying to help me get over a fear that is working towards getting over something? Or is it a bad anxiety that is actually causing me physical harm, whether it's, contributes to, I had like stomach issues for a while, not just food, it's also anxiety, right?
Yeah.
I mean, these are physical ailments, they come out.
Yeah.
So it's really about identifying, like, so if it's something like I say, like if it's, let's just use acting as an example. Like if it's something that I really, really want to do, like if it's like a job that I really, really want to fight for, well, then that's good anxiety. That means it's going to propel me to work for it. If it's something that I feel like I'm obligated to do and I don't really want to do it and it's causing me anxiety, then I'm learning how to say, you guys, you know what? I'm just going to pass on that because it's giving me bad anxiety.
Yes. Ooh.
It's kind of the same with my accounting business that I've been building kind of by accident in some ways, because I needed another job, right, to be able to pursue this acting career. And I wasn't going to wait tables. I mean, not that I wasn't capable of it, but I already baled hay,
It's a lot of labor. Yeah.
Got to pick our battles here.
I know how to like muck a stall and scoop manure. So I decided I needed to have a job that would allow me to. Oh, there goes the dog, Georgie.
Sounded like a howl.
That's the baby. It's a baby.
What are you gonna do? So cute.
And she's only a year and a half. I got a 14-year-old here at my feet. He's not going to say a word. Yeah, so it was one of those things where it's like I said, a lot of actors, are do odd jobs that are, waiting tables or whatever. But when I was young, I met a lot of older actors in their 40s and 50s, and they were still broke. And I was like, oh, wow, it made me realize that you can be lucky and, work a lot and still not have a lot of stability.
Yeah.
So that's why I started my accounting business. And it was kind of by accident more than anything else, because it turned out it was a great gig for an actor, because people don't really want to see their accountant anyway, right? uh, and it was it's a very solitude kind of like job, right? So I could go be on set. Sometimes I'd even have my laptop and I'm working in my trailer doing accounting and then running out to the set and doing scenes. So it turned out good. But I think what I was also trying to say about that is that in the same way about anxiety, because, being an entrepreneur has a lot of anxiety to it, right? And now that I've built my company up, now I can say no to the people that, like we were talking about before, that give me bad anxiety, right?
Yeah.
People that they want you to take their anxiety on for them.
Right.
And I always say to them, this is your tax return. This is your life. I am here to help facilitate, your financial situations, help advise. But at the end of the day, it's not my job to take on their anxiety.
Right. Right. Which they want to, like, they want to put that on, right? It's like, you're dealing with my like money and my this and my that. And it's like, no, boundaries. Like, okay, there's like, I'm going to try to remember because there's so many things that I want to say. And so the first thing I just want to reflect on is like, I had no idea how long and hard being a CPA is. But I have a cousin that just got into accounting recently, and the amount of texting she does about the long days I mean, it's a lot, right? So I just want to like acknowledge how hard that is. But in that, I also want to say, I think it's really brilliant that when you were younger, you were like, I don't want to live this unstable life, right? Because even like, so I have a friend, this is, silly, but I have a friend that's a friend with like a fairly well-known actor, right? He's been in a number of TV shows and everything. But every time something ends, he's always like, what's the next thing? And like grasping, even though people know him. And this person was like, it doesn't sound like a fun way to live, right? And so the fact that you have something that's your foundation, so you can actually do acting as art and joy, I think is so powerful. And I think that that's worth like really good advice for anyone in acting, right? Is like, you can still do it, but find something that gives you a landing in between gigs and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, what I noticed was a lot of people that sort of had to quit just because it was like, you eat, because it's the kind of business you have to be available, right? You can't be like, well, I'm not available this week. The agents, no, you have to always be available.
Yeah.
And many of like trips have been missed. Many family times have been missed. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes on with being what I consider to be I'm just a working actress, right? I never became famous. I never got that, I was never, making, hundreds of thousands of dollars an episode. So I noticed a lot of my friends like had to just sort of like go, I can't do it anymore. I have to actually go and get a real job now, or get a steady job, which then once you do that, you're just not available. So luckily I learned that when I was young. So I was able to create this other business that then still allowed me to keep pursuing it. But if I don't get a job, it's not the end of the world for me, right? Because I still have my accounting business that paid for my rent and paid for my card, and all of those things. And I think a lot of people end up having to just sort of resign. You either kind of hit or you just have to quit.
Right. Because how long do you want to live in like survival mode for? It's like that gets so exhausting. Maybe in your 20s, you can
not
do
only
it.
exhausting, but that's where anxiety comes, right? That's
Yeah.
when anxiety comes, when you're like in your late 30s and you're thinking, while everybody else is going on and they're buying houses and they're having children, or they're creating a future, then here you are still. I mean, I still have friends that I obviously not going to mention their names.
Yeah.
I look at their life and I'm like, God, I can't imagine being. I'm 52 now, so but I have some friends in my early 50s, even in their mid 40s, where I'm like, they have no savings. They're still hoping to get that gig. It's a little, you kind of have to have a little bit of a Peter Pan-ish in you to just no guarantees in this business, right?
Right.
Right.
Which is so hard with anxiety. It's like, there's no guarantees. You can't control it. And
No
then
control.
like, I mean, I'm really curious. Like for me, part of my anxiety is I'm very sensitive to rejection, right? With friends, with colleagues, with bosses. And I can't imagine. Will you just share a little bit about like just constantly like being rejected in a profession and what that does? Because for me, even just thinking about it just gives me, anxiety.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Abby. I don't know if people ask that as much as they used to, maybe when I was younger. And now that I'm older, I have a different perspective of it. But there was a time when I first moved to California. I was a Midwestern girl. I mean potatoes. I didn't have. They would. This sounds. It's different now. I would say it's a lot different now than it was in the early 90s. But there was a lot of pressure to be thin.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pressure to be really thin, because that was back in the days, in the early 90s, that was really a thing. You had to be thin, pretty, and white.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
That's really what it was. And I was not a thin girl, So there was a lot of anxiety about weight management and all of that. I'm glad to see that that's sort of gone. A lot of that is gone now from the industry, which is great because it's also great for kids.
Right. Yeah.
But it was hard. I remember an agent once saying to me, "You're always just going to pay if you just want to pay the fat best friends." Like,
wow.
Pretty brutal. And then you also get feedback where people are like, "Oh, we hate her hair. What's wrong with her nose?" I mean, people say the meanest things.
Yeah.
And just in real time when you're standing there, right? Right. So sometimes you get
say it to you. They don't say it to you.
Oh no, I've actually heard that sometimes you could hear it direct, like, "Hey, we think you're great, but unfortunately, we need somebody who's this," and like they'll give you a feature or.
Well, I think, Margo, what you're talking is like your agent and your managers give you feedback, and sometimes the agents and managers are the ones that will be like, you're not thin enough, or you're not pretty enough, like, you're not classically pretty enough. I was never classically pretty enough to be a leading lady, which in a way kind of I think is what it's what kept me going, actually, because even ladies usually age out. Ironically, I was a girl in my 20s who was, I'm not saying I wasn't pretty, but I wasn't classically pretty. I wasn't that thin when I moved here at all, not in Hollywood standards at all. My skin, I had so many notes. You wear too much makeup, or you need to get work out. You have like too many, your stars, or you have a bump in your nose. It's just, the producers and that don't say that directly.
Wow.
Well, that's good, at least.
You hear it through your management and your agent.
And so like you can get rejected on so many levels. It's like, I didn't like how you delivered those lines. You're not a good fit for this character. Or it's like, let me tell you all the things that are wrong with you. And like, I mean, for me, like just talking to you, like, I think you're gorgeous. So the fact that you're not like classically like beautiful is like, to me, that's shocking. But I understand like there's something in the industry that defines certain things that I don't understand or agree with or anything. But like, looking at you, like you're just this beautiful blonde who like I would grow up wanting to like if I saw you want to look just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so
You're so cute. You're so sweet. But
Yeah, you were the person in the early 90s when we were like tweens that we were looking at in the magazine being like, why don't we look like that?
yeah. So the
well,
fact
I don't know if you guys saw pictures of me when I was in my early 20s, but yeah, I mean, there was a transformation that had to happen. I mean, I lost 20 pounds. I had to figure out how to do that in a healthy way. I had to figure out how to, and I also had to learn how to do that in a way that was not necessarily, how do you say, it's not about the industry. It was more about for myself.
yeah.
Like, and then ironically, then later I ended up playing strippers and like, makes no sense, right? Because I was like not pretty enough to be this, but then suddenly I was pretty enough just because I lost weight. It's
Messed
all
up.
so convoluted, right?
Yeah.
That's messed up.
And then people would be like, "Oh, now she's too thin." You're like, "Okay, I can't win."
You can't win. Exactly.
can't.
That's it. The beauty standards are impossible. And to try to meet all of them for each different role, right? You're showing up not just as a new character, as Abby said, but also transform your look, transform your voice, transform that. I mean, it must just be so mentally and physically exhausting. And I imagine that's why a lot of people leave too, because it damages their soul a little bit. One of my dear friends was a PA for a really long time, in both in California and in New York City, and it made him physically ill after over a decade, and he had to leave, right, completely. And it's just like, and it's such a big passion of his still, and so you're like, it sucks that the industry gives you so much, but in a second it could be gone, right? Or it's so volatile and it's always changing, and sometimes it's for the better. There, like you said, Jackie, there are little things that are happening now that are a little bit more kind to women and girls in particular. Wish they would keep moving in that direction a little bit faster. But you know what, progress is progress, and one day at a time. But I just can't imagine, like Abby said, how exhaustive a process it is from start to finish. And so like I just want to echo what Abby said too about like the brilliance of having the wherewithal to know from a young age, I need something in addition to, right? Like, I'm not going to give up on this. It's going to be fun. It's going to be something I attempt as often as I have time for, but I'm also realistic. And I imagine, right, growing up on the farm in the Midwest, meat and potatoes, all the things, you need to put food on the table, right? You need to be able to provide for yourself and, whoever else, pets, whatever. And I know that in so many ways our listeners can relate to that, like having big dreams and wanting to go for things, but also thinking, how can I sustain my life, right? And be able to do it in a way that feels fulfilling no matter what. And I just feel like it sounds like you've struck a really amazing balance for yourself to be able to act when you want to act and also have your career. And also the fact that I mean, I don't know that much about accounting, but like it is somewhat seasonal, right? Like there's times of the year where it's kind of quiet, and then other times of the year where it's obviously massively insane.
Yes.
But I mean, it sounds like you picked the right co-career for yourself, which is
for me, yeah, for me, because I think I do have sort of a little bit of a left and a right brain thing happening, right? So, a lot of artists are not good with money.
yes,
which is why I have a job. It also helps me because I can relate. Obviously, a lot of my clients are artists, directors, writers, actors, whatever. And because I can relate to them on their creative brains, and then translate the financial world to them through the lens of the artist, I think that's sort of what has really helped my business. I do want to touch on what you were talking about, so Margot, about we still do have a problem about aging women, though, and that is a major problem in our industry. And I just don't know. I've had a lot of my friends quit now, just in the last, around my age, because there's just, I mean, you see it on TV all the time. We still see it. 60-year-old men are with 30-year-old.
Yes.
We're supposed to believe that they have 4 kids.
Right.
It's just like it's still not reflecting of real life. And then we're also celebrating people that have clearly had a lot of plastic surgery.
Yeah. Yeah.
Saying they're so beautiful. Look at them, they're so beautiful. They're 55 and they're so beautiful. And yet we're not acknowledging what they've done to look like that.
Right.
Or people
right.
are acknowledging it and still placing judgment, right? Like it's still that you're never going to win scenario. You're still going to be too much or too little of literally everything you can think of. So it's
Well,
like when
I'm the first to admit it, right? So like that's one thing that I think that older women should acknowledge, right? I had my upper eyelids done. I have Botox. You know what I mean? Like I don't try not to use too much Botox because you want to still look like a normal person, right? If you want to play normal people, I guess. But I think by not acknowledging it when actors don't acknowledge it and these really famous people don't acknowledge it, then we're just doing the same thing that we're doing to young kids. We're now just doing it to aging women.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
And I always say it too, like when people ask me, like, "Oh, you're so in such good shape," this doesn't come naturally. You know, I'm 52 years old. I am on that Peloton. I don't have carbs sometimes. You know, for 30 days. Like this is not just like I just wake up and eat pizza and don't work out. It's a lot of work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that needs to be said so much more. It needs to be because even I mean, we already know like teens are so impacted with social media and with TV and everything. But even me, I'm 40 and I compare myself to people on the TV and feel awful because I'm not as skinny as them or I have gray hair. Where's their gray hair? Like eventually I'll have some wrinkles. I'm fortunate and I don't have many wrinkles right now, but where's
great.
Thank you. But where's like the 40 and 50 and 60-year-old women with the wrinkle, like I again, like I understand what Hollywood is doing, but I don't understand why it's so unacceptable to be variety of weights and variety of ages and just be that, right? So I just so appreciate what you're saying because yeah, I mean, seeing all that on the TV has always made me feel bad about I am never going to be as gorgeous, and as skinny and everything. And of course, like I'm in a mindset where I don't really let it bother me that much. But but growing up, it did. Growing up, I always compared my bodies to people on TV, and I didn't know that they were exercising and starving themselves or cutting out or I didn't know those things. No one talked about it, and so I just really value everyone talk about it. Like it's fine if you get Botox. Just say that's what it is, so that no one thinks that there's something wrong with their face, right? It's like I love that just normalizing it. Like this is what I do. Yeah.
I think it was Patricia Heaton that I saw once on an interview that it really was so great. I think she has 5 kids or something, and she just admitted right on like and back then people didn't do that, I think it was during Everybody Loves Raymond, and she just straight out admitted it. She's like, I've had a tummy tuck, I've had liposuction, I've had this. She's like, and unlike some of these other people, they're not going to tell you what they've done. They're just going to pretend like they didn't do anything.
Right.
And I mean, I also had a breast reduction and a lift. I mean, I've done shit. You know what I mean? So it's like
some of that has to do though with the industry itself, though, right? Because like I'm just trying to imagine that if you were a person working in a quote unquote normal job, like an average job, and you had work done, you wouldn't necessarily go around telling your friends, neighbors, and communities about those things, right? But it's like it's the fact that these women are front and center, they're in our media, they're on television,
role models,
right? But they're the ones that are also, I guess, whereas I'm having even an issue with just to play devil's advocate. It's like, but do they owe us that? Like my mind goes to a little bit of like, maybe, and I'm speaking to myself too. Maybe I need to be thinking less about what those people have done to their bodies and more about like real life or myself or whatever. Because at the end of the day too, if all women or all people are in a box where they can't control how other people perceive them, maybe that information is just for me. Maybe you're going to have your opinions. You're going to have your thoughts about what I did or didn't do to my body. Like, I'm just thinking about Britney Spears, Abby, like back when we were young and everyone was like, oh, did she had her boobs done? She did that. It was just like, okay, well, we're fully objectifying this already overly objectified person. Right.
Mhm.
And it's just like, but was that information we needed anyway? Like, I know what we're saying, and I don't disagree completely. But I'm also wondering, it's just like, at what point is it just like, that's not my business? You know what I mean? I'm like, maybe I'm gonna choose to not partake in the energy exchange of like, did that person have work? Or they should tell us because I don't know. Since this feels like a open conversation, so I'm just throwing that at you.
I love this conversation, Margot.
Yeah.
I think you're right. In some ways, you're right, but in other ways, I think what happens is that when they're put on magazines and we glorify them to be like, I'm not going to say, you guys know who, I don't need to say who, y'all say. You know who we're talking about, right? And at least I know 3 that I can think of that 2 of them I've met in person, right? So I'm like thinking to myself, well, we're going to say, look at how great she looks for 50 some years old. Then you're also making other people that haven't done anything feel terrible about looking like they do at 50 years old when they haven't done anything and these other people have done a lot of things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
I don't know
true.
how we're going to do it. I don't know how we get through that.
No, I know. It's so complicated.
Yeah.
And listen, plastic surgery is becoming so much more affordable, they've said, to just to normal day people. 20 years ago, only really rich celebrity people could afford it, right?
Yeah.
So now more people are doing it, but then you also see, like, even when I had my eyes done, I was you don't know how it's going to turn out, girl. You don't know.
Oh gosh.
No, it's so true.
Like, I was worried. I was like, what if I wake up and I look in the mirror and I look like a scared cat for the rest of my life? So
yeah, it's scary. That sounds terrifying. Truly.
I mean, I'm naturally just biologically, genetically, my grandmother had it done, my mom had it done, so it's like something that we always had. And as an actress, drooping eyelids are not great for the camera, especially when the camera's like right here.
Right up there.
But
oh my gosh. Well,
I do think you're right. I think everybody has the right to do what they want. I just think if we're going to then celebrate them for looking a certain way at that age, then we got to be careful about not knowing exactly how they got that way.
That's true. No, yeah, I don't know. I love this deeper conversation about it because I feel like it does hopefully open up the conversation floods for people, right? About beauty standards, about showing up in your truth, right? About honesty, about integrity, no matter what industry you work in. So I want to jump back into, like, you mentioned panic attacks. We've been talking a lot about the anxiety that you faced, over the years with rejection and things like that. And so how do you navigate this, Jackie?
Yeah.
How do you cope? What are the strategies that you typically employ to deal with these really big, hard things?
Yeah.
One thing I always tell my husband, I have a husband that's not in the industry. My second husband, I learned the second time. Find somebody not in the industry, right? But sometimes I notice him and I try to say it to, like, my niece and nephew, who I'm very close to too. And it's something that I have to try. I have to practice it myself too. Is don't call myself an idiot. Don't call myself ugly. It's all you give yourself more harm. That we give ourselves more harm than anybody else really does, in some ways, right? That negative talk. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not thin enough. I don't have enough money. My nose, all these things, right? I'm not tall enough. It just goes on, and on. And so I think the thing, and sadly, I wish I could go back, and I wish I was. This is for all of you gals and guys out there, and non-binary people, whatever, is that start that non-negative talk now when you're 20s, because it builds the more you do it. the more you do it. And the other thing I learned is that nobody else, you can look at somebody else. There's always going to be somebody else's life that you think is better than yours.
Mm-hmm.
So you may get to their life or meet them or get to know them, and it's not always what you think.
Yeah.
So you just got to have a gratitude every day. Do your own self gratitude, which I try to write my every morning, every night. I have a journal that you just write 3 things you're grateful for, or 3 things, or even, and then also maybe 3 things you want to work on or things like that. But it's all comes from yourself. I also have an amazing mother, Margot. You met my mom.
Yes.
Aww.
She's your mom, your sister, your husband. Oh my gosh, they're all incredible. We haven't stopped talking about you for the last month, Jackie. Sorry to be creepy. Sorry to be weird about it, but Adam and I were just like so enamored with your just genuine heart. You're such a kind person. So again, it's getting weird, but anyway, back to the gratitude journal. What else? Any other strategies you got for us?
Negative. Don't talk negative about yourself. And when you do it, we all do it. Just stop.
Yeah.
I must think if I'm like, oh my God, that was such a dumb. No, it's not that I'm dumb. I'm not dumb. It doesn't matter that someone is more successful than me. It doesn't matter that somebody is quote unquote classically prettier than me. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. We're all gonna die someday. Now I'm gonna get dark. But we're all gonna die someday. And do we really want to spend, all these years beating ourselves up?
Mm.
Oh, one thing I don't want to forget this because it kind of ties into this. My mother always said, when I was younger, this idea that we can have it all is sort of bullshit.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
100%.
You can't do everything well. You could try to do everything, but it doesn't mean you're going to do everything well.
Mm-hmm.
So, this goes to all the, women out there that, whether you're thinking about having a child or want to have a child, or, as my childbearing years started to pass me, it was, definitely, it wasn't like something that I said, oh, I'm never going to have children. It wasn't like I made that decision. It just started to happen. I got divorced my first divorce was 36, I didn't want to just rush out and try to find somebody to have a baby with. There was all these things and all these choices were like, all these deadlines were coming up upon me. And my mom said to me, maybe you really need to think about, like, if it's something you really want, you need to be able to do it well. Mm-hmm. And she said, you're not going to be able to do 2 careers, and I also wanted a life partner.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to do all of this well?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I love
and feel
that.
fulfilled and feel like and have good feelings as opposed to just like stretched thin and overwhelmed.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I ended up not being a mother in this lifetime, and that's okay. And I would say the same thing about any other thing that you think you want, and then you finally go like, well, maybe I can't do that and do this and do all of these things and do them well. That's it.
It's such
Perfect.
good advice. Yeah.
Yes. Agreed.
We try to do that. We try to do all of this. Now we got a lot of anxiety and nothing.
Yeah.
It's
about trying to square the picture in your head too, right? It's like what needs to change is the picture in your head. And once you realize that that's just a picture, right? And that your life, the way it is right here and now, maybe you work towards some change. Maybe you don't. Maybe you learn to practice acceptance and finding gratitude and joy. I absolutely love that. I do a lot of that too. Just like even just the simple practice of jotting down 3 things you're working on, 3 things that you're really happy about that have lit you up today or this week or whenever. Like it's just these little moments where we can be here and now with what's real, right? With our own reality, come what may. So I just love that so much. All right. So Jackie, you could jump in a time machine and speak to a younger version of yourself.
Oh my.
What kind of advice would you offer young Jackie?
yeah, just don't be so hard on yourself, yeah, don't be so hard on yourself. Oh gosh, this is a hard question, Margot. You know why that's such a hard question for me is because I don't want it to be about regrets, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people should have regrets. We know what we know when we know it at the time we learn it. I
Yes.
didn't learn,
Full body
right?
chills.
That was
amazing.
Yeah. We know what we know when we know it. Like,
ooh, I got another body chill. I need to write that down.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And so would I have been able to hear that?
Yeah.
Would I have been able to hear? Would I be where I'm at now? My husband always says to me, I'm bragging about my husband now. Sorry, guys. But no, I'm not sorry. He's amazing.
No.
Yeah, that's
Do not
right.
apologize.
And I went through a lot of turds to find him. So
You and me both.
in fact, I was talking to a friend the other day about that because partnership is something too. I wanted to talk about anxiety and partnership. For the first time being with my husband, Tim, he doesn't cause me any extra anxiety.
Yes.
And I have been with men that add anxiety to my
Ugh.
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 I don't think you have that with Adam, do you, Margot? You don't have that. You guys seem.
Yeah, and when you were both just like, oh yeah, a lot of turds. I'm like, it's been one and done for me.
Oh,
Yeah. Margot's with her high school sweetheart.
23 years.
Had to be with a bunch of turds and extra anxiety with the turd.
He is my anchor. He is the anchor that keeps me tethered. I'm up here floating orb with all my anxiety, and he's down here just holding on, but with love and and with care. But yes.
See, so you learned that at a very young age, where well, like Abigail and I it took us longer.
36, baby.
We had to work for it. For it.
Yep. Right.
I don't take it for granted though, right? But that's the common theme is that when you're with a partner that doesn't add to your stress or anxiety, you gotta not take it for granted.
Yeah.
So true. And I just kept picking. My mom would say my picker was off, but yeah, I definitely was choosing people that that caused me more anxiety than calmed me. And he's very calming. And I think I know I'm calming to him too, because his one of my sister-in-laws said that to me recently. She's like, I've never seen Tim so calm. And I was like, really? I only know him as calm. And she goes, Tim, did you hear that? Easy. She only knows you as calm.
Oh.
You could tell even in our short interactions with you all, again, like at your booth at the office reunion in Chicago, was that you both seem to have such nice yin and yang energy together. At least that was what I could feel as a total stranger, just like meeting you for the first time. Just like it was a nice, like you can tell you balance each other out, right? And so like to you, he's tethering, and even though he seems like a calm presence, clearly not the many years before you knew him, he wasn't so calm. So
right. So hopefully, I guess I make him calm, which I didn't.
Yeah.
Really know until his sister brought that up, and I think that that's really important. But wait, what were we talking about? Oh, when you know, right? So talking to my younger self, I don't know if I would have heard myself, or would I have not met Tim, right?
Yeah, right.
Not have, if I try to change anything from the past, that doesn't mean I wouldn't be where I am. Because sometimes he does say to me, oh, I wish we would have met each other earlier. And I just say to him, like, oh, honey, I was not ready.
Yes,
totally.
So good. Right. We wouldn't have worked out back then. We needed to meet each other at the time we did. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So good.
But the only thing I guess I would say is just enjoy life a little bit more.
Yeah.
Expectations, I had very high expectations for myself. Maybe the only thing I would have done is maybe, you know, I don't need to say lower them, but do you know what I mean?
Just take the edge off of it. Let's just soften that, like that edge just a little bit. Just enjoy the ride a little more. Yes.
Yeah.
Good advice. Solid advice. All right. You hear that, younger warriors out there listening? You know, it's never too late to just start taking the edge off of our own expectations, for sure. All right. So we call ourselves the Anxiety Warriors. We are the Anxiety Warriors podcast. And so when you hear this phrase, Jackie, Anxiety Warrior, how would you define it? What comes up for you?
Well, first I think is to acknowledge what does is to really acknowledge what does give you anxiety, right? If we don't know what it is that's causing the anxiety, then there's no way to address it. And we all have anxiety, no matter what. Every person you see on the street has anxiety, from, you know, Oprah Winfrey to you know, I don't know, you know, guy who like delivers my green tea in the morning. We all have anxiety. So if you got to figure out what is causing your anxiety before you can fix it. So I love the idea of an anxiety warrior, because it's somebody that's willing to go in and examine their life enough to figure out what is the cause of it, and then take action to figure out how to, like I was saying before, like for me, it's about finding more gratitude in my life.
Yeah.
It's about making sure I get enough sleep. It's about making sure I have enough time to myself. I like to be alone more than my husband likes to be alone. So I have to find my alone time to center myself. So that's the warrior in us. You figure out what it is and then try different things to see what works, because what works for me may not work for other people.
Yes. So
Love
good.
it. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. It's like, it's examining it and then realizing, like, I'm worthy of my own self-care. I'm worthy of figuring out what works for me, and I deserve it. Right. And then for some of us, we need 12 hours of sleep. That's not, that's just
Nothing
what we
wrong.
need.
Abby, something I literally say to myself, okay, wait, shit, have I been up as long as I've been asleep? Maybe we should at least get
12 and 12, you know.
Yeah. Or you sleep for 8, you get a nap midday at some point, It's like, that is part of being an anxiety warrior.
If we want to talk about beauty, I remember when I was a young actress, I met this woman who was like in her 40s, and I was like 20 something, and she looked so good. And I was like, how do you look like that? And I knew she didn't have any plastic surgery, because no one could afford, like, you can afford shit like that back then. And she's like, oh, I sleep 12 hours a day. And I was like, oh, sounds like let's get beauty sleep.
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing. I'm thrilled. I'm a good sleeper, but I'm thrilled if I get 8 hours. Like, that is a good night for me.
Yeah,
and then maybe a nap, a half-hour nap, typically.
Oh, I love naps. Naps are my favorite.
Best.
Yeah,
me too. All right. Well, oh my gosh, this has just been so amazing. You just have the most inspiring, wonderful story. I love the way you kind of just, like, we were just having a conversation, right? It felt very just like back and forth. I love it. So that was like the interview portion, and now that's done.
I just want to say thank you. This has been really great.
Okay, wait, but we're not done yet, though. It's time for lightning round. It's the most important. This is the most important part of the interview, Jackie. The non-interview bullshit questions that we ask our guests at the end that pretty much have, I wouldn't say no help to our anxious listeners, but like, other than fun and joy.
Okay,
joy.
Yeah.
We're done with being helpful, and now it's time to just have some fun and play and get to know you a little bit better.
Okay, great. Let me go with some lip gloss. I feel like I need that. Who doesn't need lip gloss?
I need some right now too. I'm with you.
I don't have any nearby. Oh well, it'll have to wait.
We all need lip gloss.
Okay. Okay, so Jackie, are you ready for lightning round?
Let's do it.
Lightning. Okay, so Abby and I are going to go back and forth. We're each going to ask you just a couple of fun get to know Jackie type questions. You don't have to answer at lightning speed. You can take a pause, take a breath, and consider your answer. All right, I'm going first.
Okay, go first.
Okay, so Jackie, you are an actor, have been for a long time. You've been in a lot of amazing work, like some of our favorite work ever. The
Yes.
Office especially.
Your favorite skipper, I hope, yes.
Yes, I mean that is the main thing that we know you from, but you've been in amazing, plenty of other things where I was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that thing that Jackie was in. Anyway, I'm getting off the point. What is your most quoted line that gets quoted back to you when you meet fans from any show or movie or anything? Like, what's like your quote?
Pretty easy here. Secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone.
They do hurt someone. I just have to say that quote, I mean, in all 9 seasons of that show, my favorite show on earth, that is probably in my top 5 favorite quotes said of any of the actors who were in, literally every episode of the show, hundreds of episodes here.
Yeah.
And you had just a couple of episodes and that one line delivered flawlessly. And it's just freaking great life advice.
Yeah.
It was so funny to me because like a friend of mine who knows Aaron Sorkin very well, who, is one of my favorite all-time writers. She was like, oh, Aaron told me to tell you, and she didn't watch the show, so she wrote it down. Aaron Sorkin told me to tell you secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone. I was like, Aaron Sorkin knows my life.
Yes. That is life goals.
I was a little starstruck though. So. But
that is incredible.
Yeah. And I didn't even know when I said it. I don't even think I really realized that it was going to be that funny. But,
you delivered it perfectly. It's like I can hear it in my head. I can close my eyes and hear it direct from the show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear Steve Carell going, yeah, hi, stripper. Can I ask you a question?
Oh my gosh, right. And you were both so serious in that moment too. And he listened to you and was like, right? He just took that advice. Oh,
I mean, just in that episode where he's like, Ben Franklin. I don't remember exactly what he said, but like Ben Franklin's advice was awful. And then he's like, but the stripper.
Yeah, I think we say, how did Ben Franklin become president? And Elizabeth
yeah. Oh, so good. All right.
Okay. All right. Second question. My first question. So as you probably have figured out, Margot and I are huge Office fans. And I think I can speak for both of us where it's like our go-to show to rewatch when we're in the mood to rewatch something and not watch something new. So what is like your go-to show? Like when you just want to like veg out and relax and you've seen it before, but it's like hanging out with a friend. What is your go-to show?
Oh my God. You guys are going to think I'm a weirdo. Maybe this isn't with a friend. Okay. Well, I'm a bit of a weirdo again. But show or movie? What can
movie works too. Yeah.
I mean, this is going to sound so weird. And any chance Sam Mendes is watching this, but I have seen the movie 1917 at least 15 times. And it's a war movie, but I'm obsessed with it because of the technicality. Have you guys watched this movie?
No. Oh, wait. Yes, I did. Only once, but yes.
He does the first like 35 minutes in one shot.
Yeah, it is amazing.
It is so, I watch it over and over and over because I just can't, technically, I can't believe how he did it. But he's a theater director by trade. So I'm obsessed with that movie. I know.
Wow.
TV shows, well, I mean, right now I'm obsessed with Ted Lasso, and I think I've seen every episode. I feel like Ted Lasso is going to be like the way you girls feel about The Office. I will tell you, once I'm on a show, it's different for me to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm remembering my time on the set.
Yeah.
I sometimes I'm now taken out of the pretend world. Like I can't buy it as much. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure. Totally.
I don't buy it as much because it's like I know what behind the scenes. Like even Friends for me, I'm like, oh, like I remember
my other favorite.
I remember that day when Matt were talking about the hat. I don't know if you guys remember that they had to wear the hats on their head. Yes. And maybe I've told this story in an interview. I don't remember if I have or not. Maybe I did. I don't do that many podcasts, but I'll never forget because we did a couple we got to take, and you know how sitcoms work. They go beep, and then they go. All the writers stand over there and they talk. And I'm just standing there with Matt, and you know at this time, this Friends was huge still at that time, right? Probably I think almost at its peak, because that's when Jennifer was married to Brad. And there was just so much stuff happening, and the guys were like, "Oh, I bet they're gonna come back and tell us that we should take the little elastic off our birthday hats because they're gonna say it makes us look fat." And I was like, "Oh God, you guys are so silly." And all of a sudden the director comes in, "Okay, guys, can we get word up? Let's take the string off that." And they both looked at me and they're like,
nice.
See, so me, when I watch a show that I've been on, that's what I remember. I can't buy the story.
Right.
Totally.
Okay, that was a very long answer.
It makes sense.
No, it totally right. Because you know the people, like it takes you out of that, like their character and everything. It's like, right. You know what's happening behind the scenes.
But Ted Lasso, I think I've already watched most of the episodes at least 3 or 4 times.
It's a good show.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, next question. If you could try your hands at any profession other than your own, so you could never be an actor again, or you decide not to be an actor anymore, and you decide not to be a CPA anymore, what would you like to try?
I kind of wish I would have started in directing. See, I was just talking about 1917. So when I watch things, that's where my eye goes to all of that. It goes to the directing, it goes to the shot, it goes to the, but I am going to direct something this summer. So maybe I'll retire as an actress and do that.
Yes.
Ooh,
oh my gosh. I can't wait to hear about that.
I mean, no one retires as an actress. You just stop. It's like,
just stop.
By the way, did you put in your retirement? No.
Yeah, put in your retire. Just announce it to the ether. I'm retiring.
I don't think anyone's gonna care if Elizabeth the stripper stops acting. But
I'm gonna care.
Yes, you have 2 people that'll care right here.
And my mom.
And your well, yes, obviously your loved ones for sure.
But yeah,
I love that for you. That sounds awesome.
Okay.
You got another job with a lot of anxiety, girls.
Yes.
For real.
Right.
That's true.
Well, now I'm going to ask you a question about another job with anxiety. It's so funny because, Margot, I had that same idea of a question in my head. So now I'm lightly changing it. So if you were to be in a Broadway show, what show, maybe what character, and maybe what song would you be excited to sing?
Okay, well, let's start.
Well, I should say Broadway musical. Yeah. Okay.
Well, let's start with the fact that I can't sing.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. I'm in a terrible. I'm even a terrible stripper. Let's be honest.
No, that's not true.
Yeah.
It is a good story because when I did the 70s show, my first episode of the 70s show. I'm sorry if I digress, but you guys, you made me think of something. The director came. He's like, "So you're going to go up there and you're going to go spin around and you're going to do all that fun stuff, and then you'll come down on the table and you'll have a talk with the boys." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Can you go upside down and do?" And I was like, I'm not a real stripper."
Oh my God.
What? He's like, "We didn't even hire a real stripper?"
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Okay.
I was so embarrassed. And he's like, "Okay, well, we got to get her a lesson." So then they made me go to stripper class. I still couldn't really do it, but okay, Broadway shows. Okay, oh my God, there's so many because I lived in New York for so long. I saw so many. Have you guys seen Six?
No, but it's finally coming to Denver. So actually, my husband and I are planning on seeing Six.
Well, you might want to bring girlfriends because I brought my husband.
Okay.
And no, not that he didn't like it, but he was like, you would like this with the girls more,
Okay, fair enough.
I definitely would want to be one of his wives. Now you have to, not the one that gives birth. No, that was boring. Got to be the one that got beat. 2 of them get beheaded, right? It's a real story about Henry the Eighth. Is that right?
I think it's when you said Henry in my mind I said eighth. So I think it is Henry the Eighth. Yeah.
Definitely, I want to be one of. I don't know which one, and I can't remember. I don't even sure, but all the songs, and it's such a glorious, like, funny female, thing. So
that's so good to know.
one of the, yeah, you're gonna love it.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
You're gonna love it.
All right. Final question. Do you have a quote that you find meaningful that like helps you in your life? Just a quote said by anyone at any point in history or just in your life and your family?
Oh my gosh, maybe I should be reading more poetry and less fiction.
No. I mean, like literally could be any. The quote that you said before is going to live in my brain for a long time. I think that's going to be one of my new meaningful quotes. That we know, we know, we know it.
I know it. I feel like Elizabeth the stripper could have said that.
Right? That is, you channeled that. You channeled
That's
her.
funny. She would say, listen, we know it, we know it, we know it.
Yes.
That's not something that just came, that just came out right then. Gosh, Margot, it's so, I feel so bad that I don't have anything that, I mean, I guess other than, I'm not going to say it right, but well-mannered women don't make history, maybe something like that.
I like that.
I think I've been very mannered in my life. I believe in saying just whatever I want to say without hurting people's feelings, though. I don't like that.
Yeah. I love that.
Really no need for that. Well, I should just give you what my mom's quote is.
There you go.
If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all.
There you go. It's a good one. It's a classic.
It is a classic.
So like, our mother, well, I don't know, I'm older than you guys, but that's so like a 1970s mom thing to say. But it still lasts. I don't think I really I pride myself, and some of my friends say this to me, so I hopefully it doesn't sound like I'm being braggy or anything. But I do pride myself on not being judgmental of others, because everybody has their own reasons for doing things. So there's no need to be judgmental about what other people do or say or whatever they want to do with their life.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. I think that's like one of our biggest hopes for our podcast is that people just understand we don't know what people are walking with. Right. And so we don't have to make the judgments. We don't know what's happening with them. We don't know their insides. Right. We don't know their experience. And so again, right. Just don't say anything. Right. We don't need to add to their already suffering. Like,
well, maybe Margo, that's kind of what you were saying before, I guess, when you were saying, like, is it really our business? See, I'm going to think about that now for a while. Is it our business to know? Is it our business? I'm going to circle back on that.
You know, what's funny is that when I'm not some like, oh, I never, first of all, I look at people sometimes, I'm judging them. But then I acknowledge that I'm judging, right? And then that's like, I need to think about that. Why was I just looking at that person that way? Why did that thing go through my mind, right? And that, I think what Abby said too, we're always trying to be a lesson in self-discovery and try to look at our own anxiety and things that we go through as an opportunity to grow as a human, as a person, to try to be the best versions of ourselves as often as we can be. And there was this line in one of my favorite books. It's Untamed by Glennon Doyle. I'm not sure if you.
Oh, I'm in the middle of reading that now.
It is. It's probably.
I'm only like 1 pages in, but yeah.
It's rocketed to my. I mean, I'm a big. Abby and I are big book nerds, but like that book has changed my life. Yeah. Really? So I've read it 4 times now. I will keep reading it. And so there's literally one chapter that's only like, maybe you've read it already, that's only like 2 sentences. And it was like titled, I think it was titled Alicia Keys or Adam Levine. And it was like, Alicia Keys had said, she had come out and said that was not going to wear makeup anymore. Like when she was working on The Voice or on TV, in her shows. And for a long time, she kind of just stopped wearing makeup. She stopped showing up as anything other than herself, her true self. And then one day she came to work and she was wearing makeup. And Adam Levine at the time, The Voice, looks at her and goes, what happened to not wearing makeup anymore? Or whatever, something like that. She's just like, I'll do whatever the fuck I want. Right. And it was kind of, and for some reason that right there, that simple phrase of just like, I've changed my mind, right? I'm doing what I want because I want to, and I'm not accountable to anyone other than me when it comes to my body, right? I don't know. I just really love that. And since I read that, I was just like, I need to I want to be more like this person when it
Mhm.
comes to, especially when it comes to body stuff,
Yeah.
and physical appearance. But anyway, it's a work
No,
in progress.
that's so good. It's so good. And I applaud anybody that can. I mean, I don't really wear like I. It's funny when I lived in LA. This is gonna just sound like everything, but when I lived in LA, I felt like I always had to wear makeup, right? And then when I moved to New York City, like people don't wear makeup. They just don't. And I got just really used to like just. I mean, my hair is always like that.
Yes.
And I just loved it. I felt so freeing. So I kind of did.
Mhm.
I actually put makeup on for you girls today. I did it just for you guys.
Oh,
I know
Oh,
you usually put on
you did not need to do that here.
Yeah.
We are just come as you are kind of gals.
I'm from upstate New York. I mean, I'm a no makeup gal.
makeup. If you're in New York City and you got makeup on and it's the middle of the day and you're dressed up, people think you're a hooker. They'll start offering you money and shit,
All right, I'll take the money part, I guess. Anyway, all right. I think do we
Okay.
have one more.
Final
Okay.
question.
Okay.
All right. So did you just say that you're also a book nerd?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't like saying like what's your favorite book, because for me, I can never pick a favorite, right? I have a lot of favorites. So what are like one or two books that you would just recommend someone reading that like you've just totally enjoyed?
Okay. Well, okay. We're doing fiction, nonfiction. Well, there's a lot of different ones. Okay. Just the first one that I'm just gonna say on the first is The Four Agreements.
Ah, yes.
So good.
I mean, I feel like everyone should read that.
Mm-hmm. It's a good
All of
one.
all of them sort of relate to like what we talked about, right? Which is don't take things personally. Okay, let's see if I can remember them all right now. Always do your best, right? One of them is like something like mind your own business, but not like this. Right?
Yeah.
I can't remember them offhand either.
Can you guys remember the other one?
Be nice, right? No, I don't
Yeah.
know what it is.
Something like that.
Just
Yeah,
be nice.
Right. I think you're right. It's like be nice, something like that. Yeah. So I think those four really, ironically, that's all four of those we hit today without even mentioning the book.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true.
Yeah.
I always recommend that one, and I especially recommend it to younger people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's great for anxiety.
Yeah.
It's a great book.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like read it in my 20s, so
And
yeah.
I just reread it, like
It's a
The other
nice
one
short one.
Yeah, it's nice and short. The other one I reread sometimes, and I won't reread the whole thing, but The Power of Now.
Uh-huh. Yep.
See, right? But I'm also like a huge like fiction reader. So
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, you know what I'm reading right now, which is really fascinating, which is a book called Stiff. This is not fiction, but it's called The Curious Lives of Cadavers. I know you guys weren't expecting this, right?
No, I was
Ooh.
not. The Curious Life of Cadavers. Okay.
Cadavers. So it's all about the history of, it's about medical history and how we use bodies. The people when you donate your body,
Yeah.
and it's quite fascinating when you think about it. Like
Yeah.
we really do need people. It's not just for organ transplants and all that.
Right.
But they use these bodies, medical, surgeons and everybody, they use these bodies to practice on. And if you think about it, there's only so much a book can tell you, right? It's not for the faint of heart, this book, though.
No, this sounds fascinating. Yeah.
I mean, they talk about how they chop it up in pieces. I mean,
Yeah.
My goodness.
And how certain surgeons, like, they like really come to, they like say a prayer to the body. Sometimes they go meet the family and thank them. It's just all about, it's fascinating to think about how Rainn Wilson, I'll probably fuck up his, he'll probably fuck up this line, but have you guys read Soul Boom yet?
I just got it,
it's
but
on
I
my
haven't.
Goodreads.
I haven't started it
To
yet.
be read. Yeah.
I haven't read it yet either, but I just, I've been watching his interviews and I have it on my bedside right now. Rainn, you're at my bedside. He said, we are spiritual beings. We're having a spiritual experience in this body. We're not a body having a spiritual experience, right? We are a spiritual soul having a spiritual experience, experiment.
I remember the quote. I've heard him say it. I haven't read it yet, but I heard him say it. I think it goes, hey, hold on, give me a beat. It goes, we are not human beings. No, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience.
Yes!
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, it's such a powerful one. I know. I can't wait to read the book.
Yeah, I just love that.
We'll have to have book club afterwards.
I mean, girls,
right?
Because I mean, when it's not tax season, I can blow through a book, in a couple of days.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
So good. I can't wait to read that one. All right. Well, before we let you go, Jackie, we like to ask all of our guests to share a win of the week, big or small. Doesn't have to have happened this week, but just something recently that's happened in your life that felt like a win.
Oh, can you define what you mean by a win? Are we talking about an anxiety?
I mean, it could be anything. No, not necessarily. It could just be anything about like a small. We've had people say, I got to take a nap today when my kids were at school. And then another person said that, like, they just finished their first novel, right? Like it could be as big or as little as you want,
Okay. I think mine would be this. I tend to always say, when people invite me to do things, I always say yes, 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 right? Not that this I want to, but like, I'm even talking about like a weekend trip away, or like, do you want to come hang out with me and my kids? It's like, I always say yes, instead of going like, wait a second, is that really like space that I have for right now? And so recently someone asked, there was a group that wanted to do a trip. And this morning I just said to my husband, I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this. Yes. I don't want to go on this trip. And so instead of feeling bad, I'm just going to be honest. I don't want to do this. Oh. So sorry, you guys. I'm out for that weekend. I hope you guys have a great time, but it's just not something that I want to do. Right?
Yes.
If we're people, which, I know some people that aren't. Some people have really great boundaries.
That is amazing. I love that win.
To practice, to actually say, wait a second, I don't want to do this, and say it and not do it and not feel bad is like,
it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, it's huge. I love that your win is saying no, right? Yeah. But at the sake of your, what you really want, which is not to do that thing, I mean, and it's no offense to those people, and I'm sure they didn't take it that way.
Right.
Well,
but I love that.
No, we can't control that, right?
Right.
Exactly.
But what we can control is that we say no in a kind way, and make personal space for ourselves. And because otherwise you go and then you're like, kind of angry that you're there the whole time. Who wants to hang out with that person, right?
The bad anxiety.
Yes.
Bad anxiety.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. That's a huge win. Thank you so much.
I've learned so much from you gals today. So I want to thank you, because this has been very, I don't always take time out of my day to even talk about these things. So it's nice to do that.
I mean, we are just shocked and awed and honored. Still, I think just buzzing. I can't believe that we got that. First of all, I can't believe that I got to meet you in person, and we're big fans, and just the fact that you were just like, I have anxiety and I want to be on your podcast, and then you actually did that, and that blows our little hearts away. So you are our shared win of the week this week, Jackie. I mean, it means so much to us that you took time out of your precious schedule you took time out of your schedule, your precious time, and gave it to us.
Tax season's over, girls. Okay.
You have a hot minute. Well, thank you so much.
And a writer's strike is happening.
So
true. Oh, I know. It's awful. Hopefully that gets resolved. You're pretty free.
We'll do a couple follow-up episodes.
We'll do a live book club or something with Rain's book. We'll do like a book chat.
I can't wait to read it.
Thank you so much.
I adore you girls. It was amazing and so fun. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Whew, warriors. I am still coming down from that conversation.
Yes.
It was just, it was and is still wild to me that this person who is an actor who we've seen on, on many things, but specifically The Office so many years ago, who I'm such a big fan. We know that we're both big fans. And I still can't believe that this woman who I met for a few minutes, but then turned into like a 30-minute conversation because we met her on the quieter day of the reunion. And instead of 25,000 people on day 2, there was only 5,000 people. And when I went up to her booth, or when Adam and I went up to her booth, there was nobody there at that moment. And so she just hung out with us. This was my win of the week a while back. I don't remember which episode that was, but she just like brought her husband over and her mom and her sister who were there taking pictures and videos. And they were just the kindest, most down-to-earth people ever. And it's just like, I know this person had a relatively small part on a huge show. And she mentioned in the interview, right? Like how she was able to step onto sets where these were established shows with actors that had been in, A-list or whatever, even B-list in the game for a really long time. And what it was like to kind of dip in and out. Like,
we didn't even talk about social anxiety. Like,
I know we could have talked for hours.
Yes. Because
she was the nicest
constantly
person.
Going into new environments where everyone's kind of, I mean, maybe they like each other or not, but they're kind of a clique, right? And then you're
100%.
stepping into that space. Like, wow, I didn't even think.
And
of
every
that
set is different.
And yes,
oh
every
my God.
community is different. But I would.
Acting styles like dramas versus comedies, and indie versus movie houses.
All of it.
Right.
But I agree with like what you said. Like one of the first like ways to describe Jackie, I would say, is like just down to earth, right? And like just so easygoing. Like this is my first time meeting her, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've known you forever, just in the conversation and the connection and everything. So
yes,
yeah,
agreed. I think that is my first takeaway, is just that it doesn't take much to just be kind to people, right? No matter, as you had said, and it's come up on our show many times, we don't know what people are walking around with. We don't know their story. She has such a fascinating story, growing up in the Midwest and becoming an actor, and then also making a career for herself as a business owner, and just all the hats. But at the same time, it's all things that light her up. It seems like things that really fill her cup. And so I think that the main takeaway is, aside from being kind and down to earth and humble, is that while we may not be able to have it all, we can pick and choose the things that we do with our lives, right? We do have some semblance of control, and we can show up for it every day with a little bit of gratitude and groundedness.
Yeah. No, I love that. And you definitely feel that. Like at one point when she was saying, like, you could do all the things, but you do them so well, right? Or do the things that you really want to do, and you can do them well. I feel like it definitely aligns with that. It's like figuring it out. One of my takeaways was I really, really appreciated the good anxiety and the bad anxiety. Right. And her saying, like, when things would come up, right, she might feel anxiety no matter what, but it's still different. And some anxiety is like anxiety because you're excited about it, or you're attached to it, or, you want a special outcome from it. And that's kind of like the good anxiety, versus the bad anxiety is like the dread, and I don't want to commit to this. And why did I agree to it? And for me, that's such a good takeaway, because I mean, for one, I like it, like just pausing when I feel anxiety and being like, wait, is this the good kind or the bad kind? As opposed to just being like, no, I'm feeling anxious again. But I think that's also, it's like, it's great for other people to hear too. Like, we might always be experiencing anxiety, but it doesn't always mean it's bad anxiety. It doesn't always mean it's like unpleasant anxiety. Like sometimes the anxiety that pops up is more because we're excited, or we're attached, or, we really want something. And so I just really liked the very simple label of good and bad.
Yeah, no, it's true. It is a simple label, right? And it's like, we do, maybe it's just a uniquely Margot and Abby thing, but I feel like a lot of warriors do like try to really deeply analyze their types of anxiety. It's like, this is this one trauma that's coming up in this moment from that. And it's just like,
you sound like my 4th grade teacher, and this is why I have anxiety. Yes.
Right. And that is where my mind goes sometimes when I'm trying to dissect my own issue in any moment. And so, yeah, just having it say like, hey, is this me trying to overcome some fear in this moment towards something I want? I think she used the phrase like propel me towards something bigger or better. It's like, yeah, yes, I love that. Or is this like physically harming me? I think was like kind of the example she used. So I love that too. It's like, is this good or is this bad? And it's just like, it doesn't have to be that cut and dry, I guess, for us warriors, but it can be if we practice. I love that. I think my other big takeaway, I mean, I just want to, it's not going to be my takeaway, but I just want to say I really enjoyed the sort of spicy conversation we had around impossible beauty standards.
Yeah.
When it comes to Hollywood and the TV and film industry, certainly, but also just more generally. I think that women and girls in particular are subject to impossible beauty standards and I just enjoyed sort of like our back and forth exchange about that and how it went in hand with rejection and all of that. I really appreciated that part of the combo. But I think my other big takeaway is just Jackie's dedication to positive self-talk.
Yeah.
You know, and trying to teach warriors to, I think she said maybe her niece and nephew, right? Like from a younger age to just kind of like put out what you would hope to hear from others, right? Like towards yourself. Show yourself love. Don't tell yourself that you're dumb or that you are incapable or not enough or whatever the many examples that she used. But I just think that that's just a great reminder, certainly for me, but I imagine for all the warriors to just start from a younger age or just start right now.
Yeah.
Speaking more kindly to yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I'm with that. And I guess my final takeaway kind of aligns with both those things. And just like for me, like I know that the acting business is rough, right? Like I know that I dated someone that was in it who was constantly rejected. But I never really thought about, especially for women, right? Like I am really good at tearing myself down, like, you know, like, oh, that pimple there, like, that's horrible. Like, you know, like, oh, you're too short, you're too tall, you're overweight. You're like, or me, not you. Right. And I never really just thought about like the inner strength it takes to still continue in that profession. Right. Like what it takes to still show up and audition and put yourself out there, knowing that like, not only is someone going to like, you know, judge your actual craft, like how you act or not, right? Like your acting skills and abilities and creativity when finding a character. And, you know, not only are they going to judge all of that, but then on top of that, it's like the physical, like your nose, your eyes, your stomach. And honestly, like I can drive myself nuts, especially when I was younger, about all the things that I could want to change. Like I can't even imagine if I was getting that feedback, especially in my 20s, from other people, and the strength and the resilience and the like being pulled towards a bigger goal, a bigger dream, right? Because I feel like if someone said something about my nose in my 20s, they'd be like, well, I can never be seen again. Right. Like, and so, I just like, that was a really huge takeaway. Like, I know that the beauty standards are, you know, just unfair, ridiculous, you know, whatever it is in Hollywood, but I never really paused and thought about like, how would I handle that? And for me, I probably would shut down. Right.
Yeah.
So it takes so much strength and it takes so much just, I don't even know, to continually go through that lightheartedness, right? Like the ability to laugh it off, the ability, you know, to not be attached to what other people say about you. Right. Like, and in your 20s doing it, like now in my 40s, I'd probably be like, oh, screw you. Right. Yeah. But in my 20s, like, I mean, so that was just.
But if it's tied to your worth, right? Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to like it. I feel like it's tied to you getting a job or not. And so, and that of course winds up making, I imagine, again, I'll speak for me, I guess, like imagining that like, oh, well, that must mean that not only am I a terrible actor, but I'm also ugly. Right. Or like, even if it's something that is literally the most normal thing ever. Like, oh, I don't know, having eyebrows or like, you know what I mean? Like, but the point is just, Yeah. I feel you. I get
be
it.
picked
And
apart.
I'm with
Like,
you too.
Yeah. I pick
I could
myself
never do
apart. Like someone else
never
doing
do
it. Like, yeah. So
Well, maybe
was
that helps. I don't know. It's like maybe you just have to dissociate. If that's your career path, you have to just practice dissociating from the feedback about literally every single thing you could think of. It seems like. We don't know how you do it, Jackie, but you do a great job at it. We love all of your work and can't wait to see the things that you do next, including that directorial thing that you're going to be working on this summer. That's so exciting. We can't wait to hear more about it.
Yeah.
I just realized that in all of the excitement and ending our interview that I completely forgot to ask Jackie to share with our listeners how they can find her. So I'm just going to shout out her IG page. I'm sure she's on Facebook and definitely has an IMDb. She's at Jackie Debatin, one word, JackieDebatin, Jackie Debatin on Instagram. Everyone, please go follow her. Check her out. If you do not know any of the amazing shows and things that she's been in before, like A, crawl out from your rock, I guess, first. And then B, hurry up and watch some of it, specifically The Office. Yes, watch The Office. All right, Warriors. Well, we love you so much. Thank you for tuning in this week. If you'd like to connect with us for any reason, you can jump on over to Instagram, join our Instagram fam. We're at Anxiety Warriors Podcast, or you can feel free to shoot us an email. We are at anxietywarriorspodcast@gmail.com. Shout out your wins of the week. Give us some topic ideas, things you'd love to hear us chat about on the show. Or if you think you'd be a great fit as a guest on our show, we would love to chat with you about your anxiety journey. No journey is too big or too small for our show. Please take 2 seconds, smash that 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're tuning in. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you rate, review, and follow in all of these places. It really helps people find the pod. And hop on into our show notes and grab yourself something fun from our Threadless shop. Got some cool stuff over there.
Sure do. Show everyone that you too are an anxiety warrior.
Just like us and Jackie.
Just like us. Yes. Well, thank you all so much for going on this journey with us. We are so grateful that we get to do this with you all every single week.
Well, next time.